Welcome to Videoguys Live. Tuesdays at 3 p.m. you give us 15 to 30 minutes. We're going to teach you about the products we sell, technologies, what's new in our industry, what's happening. We cover a lot of industries. We cover live production and streaming. We cover storage, post-production. Today's show, I really want to take a look at where we think live streaming and remote production are going to be in 2021. In 2020, because of the pandemic, so many things had to happen remotely. So, the first slide we're going to start with is an overall overview of where we are. So if we can bring that up, you know what? You don't have to bring that up full screen. We're going to go over remote learning and streaming for worship are here to stay. We're going to talk about Zoom and Teams and some things that I really think they need to do to improve and take it to the next level for video production versus just a video conference. We're going to go into some pro features coming in affordable products. We're really excited about the affordable products that are coming. We're going to go into 5G, the myths, the reality of what's there, because everyone thinks 5G is going to be this be-all, end-all. If you saw the commercials that were on this weekend on all the football games, you think 5G is here. We're going to get you the real truth on that. We're going to talk a little about sports also and sports production because that got impacted. But the first thing I want to start the show off with is that live streaming for worship in schools are here to stay. In 2020, the world stopped and we had to do what we had to do in order to still educate our kids and in order to still worship and have community with our church or house of worship. That created some challenges. And in 2020, I think we met those challenges and we did deliver. More churches than ever are streaming their video. More schools are remote than ever. But what I want to stress is that I think we reached a tipping point. This wasn't something where it was a one-shot deal. I feel this is going to go on for a while. And what I'm meaning by that is, in 2020, we figured out how to do this stuff. And a lot of churches and a lot of schools started doing remote learning and live production and live streaming. Now what we need to do is take that to the next level in 2021. And what I mean by that is yeah, it's great that you were able to produce your services on Sunday and stream them, but what can you do now to make them better, to get even more people interested, hanging on, watching longer, participating more? School, same thing. The kids are having to watch, they're having to learn from screens. There's no substitute for being in the classroom with your teacher, but how do we make this remote learning more engaging? How do we help the students really latch on and get excited about it and have some fun and want to participate? And that's the real challenge in 2021, and we'll be doing shows on both of those, but I just want to stress that live streaming for worship and schools are here to stay. All right, the next one's a really big one, and that is we're all suffering from Zoom fatigue. And let's call it Zoom, Teams, Google Meets. It's fatigue. It's staring at screens for hours. I don't think anyone would have gotten through, businesses, schools, churches, educators, through this pandemic without video conferencing software like Zoom and Teams and Meet. And extra thank you to Zoom for making this stuff available for free on a large scale. But when I look at it, there's so many things we could do better. Now, we did my nephew's bar mitzvah, we called it a Zoom mitzvah, using our studio and Zoom to take things to another level. So I want to play a little clip from that so you can see what we were able to do there.
Well, what I did was I took the output from our TriCaster and brought it into Zoom via NDI virtual input. And again, no wires because of that. It was all done via
our network.
Yeah. So that way I had full control over what people saw in terms of that particular feed.
And then I had a job. Not only was I the uncle participating in the bar mitzvah, I was the Zoom remote producer. So I was in my office, which is another part of the building from where we do the show, and I actually took control of the Zoom. So what I had to do was I did the spotlight. I would mute people who were talking. All right, well, I just realized I'm wearing the same shirt as I did a month ago when we did that show. Well, it's my favorite flannel shirt, LL Bean. I'll give them a little plug there. Oh, actually, no, it wasn't LL Bean. It was I don't remember where I got it from. Anyway, now what I want to talk about is what could you do to make Zoom Teams meetings better? Now, we're all getting Zoom fatigue, so I want to go into some things that I really think are important. If we can bring this up full screen, Adam, we're going to talk about the ability to pin participants in a specific box. We're going to talk about the ability to spotlight 2, 3, or 4 participants, but still show the rest of the gallery. The ability to do presentations in split screen mode, and also to create a screen that's got more than just the talent, more than just your presentation, more than just your gallery. So I want to go into each one of these in depth. So we actually have sample screens that we made up. Now, we made these all up. None of these features exist yet in Zoom or Teams, but we hope by the end of 2021 they all do. Okay, so first, the ability to pin participants to a specific box. Now, this is real important. If you look at this screen, you'll see that I have a quad view and a 9 view, and I'm calling the boxes 1, 2, 3, 4. And you can see what I'm trying to do is peg my important guests in those corners all the time and fix them in the corners. Now, you say, why do we need people in the corners of the screen? Well, there's a real important reason why you want those people in the corners of the screen, and that is if you're going to bring people from that screen into another production level, you want to know that they're always there. So one of the things you could do with like Wirecast or TriCast is you could take your Zoom screen, bring it into your mixer or vMix, and say that quadrant is now going to be one of your inputs. The other quadrant's going to be the other. But if people move in the quadrants, it messes that whole thing up. Also, what I found is when I'm doing a Zoom show where it's a sales meeting or whatever, you kind of want to know there are certain boxes where people's attention are going to be. And I find those quarter boxes are the ones that are where people tend to wander or want people fixed. So if the other boxes move around where people start talking and stuff like that, I want to know that, let's say with the 9 layout there, that I have my 4 most important team members or the most important attendees at the conference locked in those boxes, never moving. Now, it doesn't have to be a corner box. It could be the center square, whatever you want. I want the ability to say, this box is pinned to this guest, and it doesn't change until someone changes it. The next thing I want to talk about is this view, which I really love, and Teams kind of gives you this, but it doesn't. But you'll see we do this on our shows, and that is the ability to spotlight some of the participants and show the rest in the gallery. Now, that's because it's not just the speaker who's speaking. I still want to have everyone seeing how people are reacting to what's there. So in this example, we have 4 people who are maybe they're the regional salespeople, east, west, north, and south for my company, and they're talking to all the other salespeople out the group. Well, I want the salespeople to be in the gallery, so if they speak up, they show up in there. But I want those 4 people to really be on the featured on the screen, because I want the people watching the show to see the interactivity between those people. And the people always jumping from a spotlight video to spotlight video to spotlight video gets kind of confusing. So I like the ability of us giving us some control of the screen. Once again, next one, getting a little fancier. I know a lot of people do PowerPoints. You see what we do here on our show. I'm here in this section. The screen's over to my corner. This is a thought of, I'd love to see Zoom or Teams have a default where I can have my presentation be the bulk of the screen, and then room on the side for 1 or 2 people to be the featured guests, so that when I'm talking, you can see the screen. Now, I think this is vitally important for education, because I think when you're trying to talk to students, especially younger students, and you've got the students just being they're seeing the whole screen as, let's say, the teacher's prepared work or worksheet, and the teacher's just in a little box in the corner, that I don't think that does it. It's not engaging. However, if I could have the main box be what I'm presenting, and then I can have a nice big picture of my face of me as the teacher being on the screen, I think the kid's going to pay a little bit more attention and stuff like that. And then if I want to ask a question, have a kid participate, I can put them in the other box, or maybe I have an assistant teacher or a student teacher I want to be on the class. House of worship, same thing. If I'm trying to make a point and show a slideshow that maybe is from a trip we did or a fundraiser we did in the past, there's no reason why the preacher shouldn't be on the screen at the same time. So that's what we kind of do with our shows. I know you can't get this level of, what we have here with lower thirds and other things like that, but at least let's have the screen be a little bit more engaging. And then the last one that I'd like to see is a little more complex, but it's even more getting towards kind of like what we do on our shows. As you can see here, we have the presenter in the upper hand, we have the presentation behind it, and then we have a gallery on the side. Now, I'm not saying it has to look like this, but in this view, if I'm watching full screen on my computer screen, I can read what's on there, I can get the face of the person who's really the main presenter, but now I can also see the gallery view. Now, all this stuff you can do with post-production equipment, multiple computers bringing stuff in. I think Zoom and Teams have to set up, and they have to have a production mode where you can produce a show and do a lot more. And I want to jump into that a little bit more, because now I want to talk about specifically why I'm after this, and we can bring this up for a full screen for a little bit. It's better technology and integration for production. So one of the main things I want is the ability to point someone in that Zoom room as the moderator role. What that person can do is control the screen layout, control whose mics are on or off, raise or lower a particular presenter's audio, and maybe insert a lower third or a graphic or a bug or something that's supposed to go in one of the boxes that is, a graphic in the box. I think this is really important when you're doing meetings and for Zoom meetings without even the production stuff we're doing. When I'm in a sales meeting, I've got, let's say, 8 or 9 sales guys going, and I want to present some materials. I need to have that I'm the presenter. I want to be in my flow. I want to be selling. I want to be pitching. If I've got to work the Zoom at the same time, it slows everything down. So I see in a remote work, remote meeting world, it would be great if we all have a moderator. It's an admin, it's someone who helps out for that show, who's really doing the techie side of the show, but it's not that techie, because what I really want to see is that not only do we have these bullets that I talked about, but I want it to be customizable with a touch interface so that anyone can walk up, hit a button, drag it, and that person goes to that corner. Drag this here. Simple and easy if you have the moderator function. And I think this will just allow meetings to become so much more productive, so much more enjoyable for people to watch. The next one is the big one for people who watch our show who are into video production. That is, we need complete NDI and SRT integration with our switchers and our software. That's a TriCaster, vMix, anything you want to call it that you want to do as your switcher and your software that you're using with your PTZ control and everything. I want it all integrated through Zoom, into Zoom, where the two things talk to each other seamlessly. So, we've got teams working with Zoom very well now. It can take the next level. With SRT, we can go a little bit even further. And SRT, we're going to get into, and we've done some shows on that. SRT is truly using the cloud to produce a production. SRT is where I can have a camera on one side of the world, and I can be controlling it from the other side of the world and getting the video from it with little or no delay with a secure video signal. SRT, super cool. We have a clip at the end of the show to talk about it, plus we've done some shows on it. We'll get into that a little bit more. And then the last one I want to talk about goes back to the tip I gave in the pre-show on how important audio is, and that is we need each caller's audio to be a separate channel via NDI so that we can control the audio levels, sweeten the audio if we need to, clip the audio if we need to, mute the audio if we need to, but so that we can have that audio be independent, because we may have a situation where we have a screen we're sharing that maybe is a sales forecast, or it's a block diagram of a building we're talking about working on. Well, we need to be able to hear everyone's voice, but we need to see the video that's up there, but we don't want the video to come down, so we almost need to be able to do almost an independent audio mix within the Zoom presentation. I'm not saying Zoom needs to add that capability. I understand it might not have it, but we need to be able to have each participant's video and audio come in as a separate controllable track into our video production system. So that's my take on Zoom and Teams and GoToMeeting. Guys, when I bring up Zoom or Teams or GoToMeeting, I really want them to be interchangeable in your mind. Let your organization go whatever you want. I know Cisco WebEx is coming back in a big way. We're just talking about these AV conferencing apps, what we'd like to see in all of them, and I'd like to see them all take this leap together. I want these features in all of them. I want NDI in all of them. I want moderator control in all of them. I want touch interfaces in all of them, because I feel this technology is here to stay, but we're all getting fatigued from it. We're getting tired of it. And the way to keep us engaged is to allow us to control what we as the people with the message can let our audience see. And this isn't rocket science, it's TV video production 101, Adam. But if we can do this and allow the people watching the show to get a more curated, more controlled, more engaging view of the meaning of what we're doing, this technology will live on and keep growing. Next, we want to talk about remote and cloud workflows. They call it REMI in live productions. Now, we have several companies we work with in this field, New Tech, BirdDog, Simply Live, LiveView. These are the companies who are leading the way right now on that, who we carry. This stuff is happening on a very, very high-end broadcast level, and we all know that. Watch late night TV, watch the news, watch any sports program that's still on. You don't have people sitting in the studio all together, even talk shows. We've got a guest here, a guest there, people throughout, located all over the city or country. We've got people controlling and running the show from remote rooms that aren't there. This is how the broadcasters are doing it, and that's wonderful. And here's a little slide explaining just what REMI was for you guys. But what I want to talk about is we were doing remote production from the first month when the epidemic hit. How we were doing it? We were doing it by creating our own remote workflow using the tools we had at our disposal. Zoom, Teams, Rendezvous, Skype, LiveView, NDI, SRT. We were doing it with TriCaster, Wirecast, OBS, vMix, and other technology. Specifically, what were we using on those early shows? We were using a Wirecast gear. Adam was in isolation. He was home at his house, so he had Wirecast gear. I was using Rendezvous from my office. We were using a little bit of BirdDog Cloud from our guy in Texas. We were using all these different technologies to bring them all together to make the shows work. And that's really what 2020 was. 2020 was making the shows work. Do we have that lower third, Adam? So what really happened was in 2020 we made things work, but now it's 2021. And what we have to do is make things work better and look better. And that's really where I'm focusing my attention on this show too. We got it done in 2020. Now in 2021, we're going to make it work better and look better. I talked about the BirdDog Cloud. The BirdDog Cloud, we love the BirdDog guys. They've basically enabled NDI across the cloud using SRT technology. It gets a little technical. Roll the video. It does a much better job explaining this than I can.
You have an endpoint. An endpoint is where all of your devices connect to. So in my case, I've got a laptop running on my network. It is an endpoint that is talking and connecting up to the cloud. And then click again, Adam. Over in New York, in Farmingdale, where Adam is, we've got another endpoint, and it can see all his devices. What I've got is we've actually got Jeremy. This is his Wirecast gear over here. So what I can do is I can come over to NDI Studio Monitor. So not only can I see Jeremy live, but I also can control his camera. So we can just quickly click on this, and I have full camera control. So this means I can do a remote production very quickly, taking in his feeds, controlling his camera.
Next, we want to talk about remote workflows in post-production. Now, I'm really going to focus on the two leaders in this area who I see, and that's Avid and Adobe, and the people in their kind of ecosphere working with them. But before we get into remote workflows, I want to talk about a workflow that came about this year that I think is super cool, and that is both Adobe and Avid allow you to play directly from the timeline via NDI. What's so cool about that is I could take any NDI decoder, an NDI converter that is decoding, and I can have that have HDMI out that plugs into any HDMI screen that I can put anywhere on my network. So now, one of the things that's happening is in the world of post-production, it's not even remote. We just can't have 6 people sitting in a room together on top of each other. Plus, let's be honest, editors never liked having the producer or the director over their shoulder anyway. So now what we can do is I can have my Avid, I can be editing away on my Avid, I hit the space bar to play, and someone who's got a TV, a 4K HDMI, beautiful 56-inch screen hooked up to their network via an NDI decoder can watch that video instantaneous, seeing what's going on with that video. So now I can play it anywhere in the system. Through NDI, I can add other stuff. That person could have a computer, a laptop that I could be seeing NDI where they could be sharing notes with me, giving me comments, giving me feedback. So NDI, I think, is a local remote post-production workflow that's here, very inexpensive. The NDI works by downloading a plugin for Adobe or Avid, and NDI decoders like the BirdDog Flex start at $399 for the Flex out. So it's not an expensive investment. You hook it up to any HDMI monitor, and now you can play video anywhere on your network. Bingo. Also, having nothing to do with post-production, I love NDI Decode because it's a great way to put video into overflow rooms, like for churches or schools or public meetings. So let's talk about the more intricate types of remote workflows, and that's what everyone really wants. I'm going to call it the golden goose, the magic bullet, what everyone really wants to have happen, and that is we want to be able to produce and edit video via the cloud remotely, and that technology is getting here, and Avid and Adobe definitely have partners that allow you to do that. What they don't have is easy and affordable ways to do it, and it's very techy right now, but it can be done, and you can use sharing your timeline, sharing your media, using cloud storage, and you can work on your project from anywhere. I have to apologize, I got a cough. Can you bring the screen up full screen while I'm coughing and mute me? So remote cloud workflows and post-production, I really see as being a hybrid solution right now, where you would have some shared storage within your on-prem, and then some cloud-based storage. The two storages talking to each other and talking to remote editors who could be anywhere. The company that's really leading the charge on this, who I got to admire, they're doing a great job, is Avid. It's still a little bit too expensive for the independent small shop, but I think in 2021, I am hoping that Avid and people who work with Adobe, who have shared storage solutions like EditShare and SNS and even Quantum, start thinking about that editor who's not at the shop. So it's a shared storage workflow with media management tools and stuff like that integrated with the ability for people to come into that hybrid through the cloud for what they need. So if I have an editor who, let's say, he's in Vegas while we're doing the show in New York, or maybe I want to have someone who's doing some little bit of rough cutting out of my New York offices for a show that's being produced in Atlanta. We need to allow these editors to work on the content from all over the place, but it doesn't mean we have to design expensive systems that are built around everyone being everywhere. I'm looking for an easier solution that maybe has a Nexus Pro, a Media Central server, and the ability for one or two editors to come in remotely while we're basically working locally. I think that hybrid solution is something that I'd love to see be a total package for 4 or 5 Media Composer users for under $20K. I don't know if I'm ever going to see it, but take it for what it's worth, Avid. My request is now officially in. All right. Next, I want to talk about the marriage that I love, which is NDI and SRT, and I call it a winning combination. Now, SRT, if we can bring this up full screen because I want to see it's secure, reliable transport. It can be paired with NDI for bulletproof methods of pulling in remote sources. We did a show with George from Epiphan. They've done a lot of work on the SRT line. All our vendors are working hard to make SRT and NDI work great, but let's roll that video now, Adam, and let them see what George had to tell us about.
NDI is really a local network technology.
Yeah.
SRT in a lot of ways offers somewhat similar competitive things, but from an outside the network, from a global perspective, not bound to the local network. I have a Pearl Mini here in my home where I have all of my audio and camera gear connected to it. And when I need to participate in our webinars or our live shows, I can send an SRT stream from my home, from my Pearl, to a Pearl 2 in our main studio, and the producer can do all the work. I just literally have to stand here and stare at the camera. You could use NDI in parallel to that to bring in other stuff. We use it a lot for lower thirds and other software applications.
The next thing I want to talk about is sports and sports live production. If you guys know my show, you know I always have the Ohio State mug that I use. My kids have gone there, so good try, but roll tide. You know, we didn't win the game last night, but still a great season to the boys and the Buckeyes. But I want to talk about sports are coming back. This year, if you were in sports production, you had one of the worst years ever. Not only the sports were outright canceled, there was no revenue. It was horrible. You know, the major sports are coming back. We're able to watch them on TV, and I love that. But, you know, what about the smaller sports? What about high school sports? What about D3 schools? What about local beer leagues and sports leagues and stuff like that? Well, some of these sports are coming back, but the one thing that's happening is spectators aren't. We're going to have to try to produce these sports and play these sports without people in the stands, but also we can't have big crews at the place to produce the show. So that means we're going to have to produce sports where we have PTZ cameras, not live cameramen, around the room, strategically placed, and we're going to have control rooms that aren't in the sports field, that are maybe in another building, maybe they're in another state, maybe they're in another country, I don't know, but it's got to be done remotely or automated. So we've got some vendors we work with who are really pushing the envelope on some of that stuff. You know, New Tech with their 3-play instant replay system. Simply Live has a system that's got instant replay and video production mixing, very easy to use, so a single operator can run a show. But we also have this company, Pixelot, who we started calling their stuff as a super cool technology using artificial intelligence in the cloud. Basically what it does is it takes multiple cameras to create a super big 8K image of the sports field, and it can actually know who the players are. It's got some built-in technology. You can follow the game. So, you know, it really works great on rectangular sports. So let's think about football, soccer, and basketball. And we've got a great little clip showing how the Pixelot AI, this is actually a fixed camera that is mounted in the back. And as you can see, it's automatically following the players and the action of the ball. It can be set to follow the ball, or it can actually be set to follow the jersey number of a specific player. It's Super cool technology. We're really excited about where this stuff's going, and we have this available. There are dealers who can put it in. It's very cool technology, and they are also coming out with a non-live version, which can just like record the show, and then it'll go up to the cloud and cut it together, so you can actually use that for, recruiting videos and things like that for guys. But with these high-level sports remote production things, we understand that it's not actually a good call over the phone and get it ordered. We can sell it to you and we'll help you with it, but there's no substitute for having a local contractor, local reseller, local VAR who can put that in. So Adam, if you put that graphic back up, I saw I'm behind on it. We can help you find a local dealer is what I'm getting to. So if you're interested in like a new tech 3-play system, Simply Live or Pixelot, give us a call. We'll make sure we'll review what the product's all about, but then we'll get you in touch with a dealer who's in your area, who has the ability to install in your area, so that you can have this done and go through the whole bid process or whatever it is on that. So sports are coming back, and sports live video production will be coming back as well. And I know the show's going late, but I got a lot of things I'm looking forward to. And one of the things I'm looking forward to is 5G. But 5G isn't here yet. It's coming, and I know when you were watching the TV today, all weekend, you got bombarded with different commercials from all the carriers saying 5G's here, we have a 5G network, we've got this 5G, we've got that 5G. Well, that's all well and good. It's not there for us who are video streaming, live video content creators. So now I want to bring up this slide and explain why a little bit more. One of the things that happened is COVID-19 really restricted construction and limited resources for rollouts. So even if a company already had the money and had the cell towers ready to go, they just couldn't get access to put them on, to get to buildings, to put them on top of buildings, to put them in the streets and things like that. So does anyone have a complete 5G network at this point? Even though they're telling you on TV, they don't. Don't believe the hype. The next one, does anyone have a nationwide network? Well, AT&T has a nationwide network that's sub-6, but it's not the full 5G. So that brings me to the next part of it. There's two types of 5G, and we've done some great shows with the gang at LiveView with their tech people to go into it, but there's basically sub-6, which is just basically, we had LRT 4G. This is just the next thing, we'll call it sub-6. But then we have the sub-mini millimeter. Now that's the real one that they're talking about could replace Wi-Fi. That's these really small millimeter transmitters that can allow you to get that fast, instantaneous results of what's going on. That was going to be rolled out in like venues at first, like sports stadiums and arenas, which obviously got put on hold with sports like I talked about just before. So really the hype that you're seeing about 5G are the old commercials, but they don't really represent what's coming. Yes, sub-6 will be better and faster than what you have currently on your 4G or your LTE on your phone, but it's not the real promise of the hype that they're talking about. In fact, what I'm going to say is, I think in 2021, H.265 will be more important for video streaming and workflows than 5G. 5G, great for your phone, great for doing stuff with your phone, but 5G for live streaming, I'm still going to recommend the LiveView cellular bonded solution over a 5G solution any day. And the cool news is that, speaking of LiveView Solo uses modems. So when 5G is really readily available, you can get 5G modems, hook them up to your LiveView Solo, and now your LiveView Solo becomes 5G because the modem is simply the transport from the device. So very cool, and I wanted to mention that all LiveView products are actually 5G compatible because all you have to do is change the modems out. All right, next, I'm really excited about this, and that is affordable products for live streaming. Over the past year, we had a lot of products we were hoping to see come out, but the truth of the matter is it was a tough year for our vendors to come out with products. One of the most exciting products that came out to me was the YOLO box, which I really love, and you can see it up there. But we've got some great products that have just started coming or coming soon. We've got the LiveView Solo YOLO link here. We have the RGB link, which is an under $500. The RGB Mini Plus is an under $500 4-camera mixer that plugs into your PC or your laptop via USB. It shows up as a streamer. The Roland folks updated their V1 HD to the HD Plus. We have a new Wowzer Clearcaster, the Clearcaster Mini, that does all the features of the Clearcaster we have that used to be a $5,000 box that's now affordable for about $1,200. And we have Epiphan Video coming out with their, we love the Pearl Mini. They're coming out with the Pearl Nano, which is an even cooler encoder, but still gives you some structures and stuff like that. The best part about all these affordable live streaming products is we are going to do a show in a couple of weeks on not only on these products, but different bundles on how you can use these products together to create a workflow that's affordable and gets the job done for what you're looking for. So I love all these affordable products as standalone products to get started. But what I love even more is when you start putting them together, using them together to build an even better solution. That's what we're going to talk to you about when we do our affordable products for live streaming show in a couple of weeks. Speaking of which, once again, I want to come back with my synopsis for this whole show, which was in 2020, we made live streaming work. In 2021, we make it look and work better. And guys, that's what we got to understand. No one was planning on an epidemic. It hit us. We didn't have a choice. We had to figure out how to live stream. Houses of worship, how to get their message out. Schools, how to teach remotely. Corporations couldn't get together for sales conferences and sales meetings. How do you work with your customers? You went live, you used video. You might have used Zoom, you might have used more production stuff like we have here. The bottom line was in 2020, we got the job done. We made live streaming work. 2021, we're going to make it better. The products are going to be better. The workflows are going to be better. Things are going to look better. They're going to sound better. They're going to be easier to use. And that's the exciting note I want to take you for 2021. We're just going to get it better. Let's talk about the shows we have upcoming, because we went 30 minutes. It was a little long for this show, but I'm trying to talk slower, Adam. Did I talk a little slower this show? Did it help? It did. All right. So what do we have coming up? Next Tuesday, Ask the Video Guys. It's going to be Adam and Oliver's show. I'm going to be at a virtual trade conference, so they'll be doing that one. After that, we're going to do the affordable, low-cost live streaming products and bundles. And then after that, we're going to talk a little bit about the federal stimulus funding and live streaming in 2021. I think we're going to have a much clearer view of that after the inauguration and what the new administration wants to put into place. But we're very excited about that money coming in for schools, for churches, for businesses to get back on their feet. And one of the best ways to get back on your feet is to integrate live production and live streaming and remote production into your company's marketing message. So we're very excited about that. I want to thank everyone for tuning into today's show. Live streaming remote production in 2021, a Video Guys peek into the future. I guarantee I get some things right, and I guarantee I get some things wrong. But the number one thing I guarantee is we will be here on Tuesdays telling you about the technology, and not only telling you about the technology and the products, but we're here to help you make them work before, after, and during the sale. You can call us at 800-323-2325. Talk to our guys. We have chat from the website. You can go to our blog, Facebook, YouTube. We ask that you keep supporting us on social media. Thank you for everyone who did over the past year. I know we're going to get even better. And like I said, to sum up the show, in 2020, we made live streaming work. In 2021, we're going to make it look and work better. This is Gary from Video Guys. Thanks for watching. See you next week. Peace.
Video Guys is available Monday through Friday. Give us a call at 1-800-323-2325. Don't forget to follow us on Twitter and Instagram to stay connected with all of our updates. And you can like us on Facebook. Keep an eye out for our live videos, and don't forget to